Computer. Okay, we are here. And with me on my very first interview here on my channel, I have brought on one of my good buddies, Crystal Garcia, also known as Crissy G with me, right?
Crissy G life with me, yes.
Life with me. That's right. And I have followed you, Crissy, now for a while since I think I pretty much started my own Ozempic journey like in maybe late 2021, maybe early 2022. And I'm so glad that you're here because you're like my go-to person. And I wanted to bring you on to kind of share your journey and what has been going on with you over the course of the last year that I've been following you. And I was thinking maybe you could share some of your wonderful words of wisdom with my audience. So, welcome.
Thank you so much. And I want to say it's crazy that you say that because I started following you. Obviously, when I first started my journey, I went to go look for other people who can give me their personal take on their journey. And obviously, you were one of the first people to pop up when I researched Ozempic. And I saw, I've seen your channel grow so much since I started following you. And you doing the types of videos that you did and just kind of talking casually to your subscribers, and it really like resonated with me, and I started following you, and then I thought, if she can do it, I think I can do it too. Like, I want to document my journey, and did not know what I was getting myself into, but I'm so blessed that I did, and so happy. And so to think that, you talk about following me, but it's like you were the one who opened the door for me and really got me going on this journey. So
Well, thank you. It's so funny because I was scared when I first started my Ozempic journey, and I went immediately to try to find stuff about what I was about to be putting in my body. And the whole reason I started my channel was because there wasn't really anything out there at the time. And at the time, I was considering doing gastric sleeve surgery, and I had actually started the process. And then when my endocrinologist brought this up, I was like, I don't even know what this is. Let me go on Google. And there was really nothing really out there at the time. And so that's kind of how I started. And so I think a bunch of really great, informative women and men, although I think there's been probably more women than men that I've seen anyway, documenting their journey on YouTube and TikTok and pretty much all across all the socials has been such a huge support. And so I'm just so thrilled that you're here and, we can talk to our crowd. And I always have just been really upfront. You've probably seen, I do like literal car videos. I'm like,
yeah,
anyway, I'm not editing this and I'm wearing no makeup. So
yeah.
you get what you get and that's it. So, but you're beautiful and you have like style and you're like the whole package. So I'm so glad to introduce everyone to you today. So, I was wondering if maybe we could just kind of get started to talk about your journey with weight loss over the years and how you kind of ended up doing these medications and where you started and where you are now.
Perfect. So the way I mean, I have struggled with weight my entire adult life since I can remember. And I've been your perfect description of a yo-yo dieter. And literally, I would lose 20, 30 pounds. I'd get excited. I'd start overeating. I'd get more confident. So I'd start going out more, drinking more. And then the weight would just, before I knew it, I was back at where I started and plus some. And that's what I did for many, many years. And then I would have my babies and I would gain, astronomical amount of weight after each one. And then I would work my way to a normal fat, which for me was always 220, 215. That was my norm. That's where my body likes to be. And I finally, the older that I'm getting, I'm going to be 39 this year. And that it's just becoming harder and harder. And so I reached out to Dr. Z because I saw that he was a specialist in weight and he was in diabetes, endocrinology, and all that good stuff. So I said, there has to be something wrong with me. And it's sad to think as a woman that you look forward to being told there's something wrong so that you can blame that on your issues with weight, right? So I was like, definitely going to be told that I have, thyroid or diabetes because I had been doing my husband was diagnosed with diabetes about 2 years ago, and we eat pretty much the same type of foods, so I'm like, surely I'm diabetic too. And I would check my blood sugars, and they were usually typically 103, 110, and now I'm at 140, 150, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm probably diabetic. I didn't even know it. So I initially it was that I was going to go see the doctor because I knew he was going to tell me I had thyroidism, and that's why I'm fat, and diabetes, And so to my sad surprise, because I was like, no, I don't have thyroid. I was pre-diabetic at that point, but I didn't have the cholesterol. I didn't have anything. It was literally you're overweight because you overeat. And I think that's a hard pill to swallow because I feel like I don't overeat, but I don't. I'm not the type to eat 3 meals a day, 3 full meals a day. I don't feel like I eat a lot, but maybe for my age and my weight, I'm height, and it is overeating, and you just think you're eating normal meals. But that's what I was going to talk about in my next video is sometimes we think that because we eat a normal hamburger and french fries and a Coke, that that's a normal meal, but it really isn't. It's so high in calories that you're eating your full day of calories in one meal and don't realize it. So on top of that meal that I would typically have for lunch, then I'd go home and have dinner. So yes, I could see that. I think those were normal meals, but no, I was definitely overeating. And so his solution was to put me on Ozempic, which, well, he offered Wegovy, which is the FDA approved version of Ozempic. And so I did my research and I saw that Wegovy and Ozempic were exactly the same. It's just that Ozempic started as a diabetes drug and whatnot. And he told me, look, more than likely your insurance won't cover because it's a weight loss medication. And obviously a lot of insurance won't cover weight loss. He goes, but if they don't cover Wegovy, then I can offer you a compounded semaglutide version of Wegovy. So it's essentially the same chemical compound, right? And so I said, good, yes, let's do it. So he prescribed me the medication. And that's when I went to YouTube and I found you, because you were talking about your journey at the time. And I was like, oh, okay, she's talking about how it's helped her lose weight and whatnot. And that's how I started. And the first month on it, immediately I could feel the hunger suppression. And I immediately started eating a lot less because you get full so easily. And I experienced if I would overeat, because you still feel like there's no way I'm full with this. I want one more bite, or it's so good. I just want a little bit more. And then I would suffer from like sulfur burps per se. And I'd be like, oh my God, that sulfur burps is out of this world. Go ahead.
No, they're so gross. I totally know. It was like a real interesting feeling to feel full. And I've talked about this on some of my videos. I never knew, probably since childhood, what it felt like to feel full. And hearing my body say, like, B, you're full.
You can't.
Like,
Yeah.
done.
Right. Yes, that is a very interesting feeling. And it's crazy because when I explain it to people who are not on the medication and they see me eat a very small portion, and then they're like, there's no way you're full. You barely touched your plate. And I'm like, I promise you that I feel like I ate an entire meal. That's how full my stomach feels. And when people around me are now on this medication for weight loss and diabetes, some of them, now they're like, oh my God, you're right. I have a few slices of cheese and crackers and I'm full. I feel like I ate an entire meal. And so what my doctor's been trying to teach me this whole time is that that is what you're supposed to be eating. This is really the portion you're supposed to have. It's just that society and our diet in America has trained us to think that it's normal for us to eat 1,500 calories a meal when it's not. He's like, so you can still have your pizza. And then I think this is why in the beginning I loved him so much, because he was like, you can have your pizza. There's nothing wrong. Because in the beginning I was like, I'm going to stop the Cokes. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to stop that. And he was like, why? Why are you going to stop eating what you typically eat? He's like, what you need to stop is overeating. Cut that way down and you'll see that you'll start to lose weight even if you have these foods. And so that made me like, okay, well, I've never been told not to. Every diet I've been at is so restrictive. It's like you either have to eliminate all sugar, all carbs, all beverages except water. They're always so restrictive, and I feel like that's why I've failed so many times, because it's like at one point I'm like, I can't do it. I need bread. I need pasta. I need a cookie once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that's why this has also been so good for me. This is the longest, I will tell you, that I've sustained a weight plan where I'm actually losing consistently and keeping it off, because usually I'll lose 20, 30 pounds in a matter of 3 or 4 months. And then I go back to my habits because I want to eat. I want to eat what I've not been able to eat the last 2 or 3 months. And then once you mess up, you're like, well, I'll start Monday. No, I'll start next week. Well, my birthday is coming up, so I'll start after and you never start. And before you know it, you've gained all your weight back and some.
Right.
And so for all the people who always tell me, well, what are you going to do when you're off this medication and you start? Well, that's the thing, right? I had to learn while on this medication, I had to finally understand, no, this is how much I should be eating. And that's been the hardest part because yet I have to control my discipline myself at post Mounjaro or post Ozempic, and realize that it's not going to be the way I used to eat. If not, I am going to gain the weight back. And with anything, you can be a rigorous working out and eating healthy and not, and the moment you stop doing those healthy habits, you're going to go back. So it doesn't matter what you do. And I think that's what people don't understand is that people think you're going to lose all this weight and then you're going to regain it, or, yeah, it's going to be a lifelong journey moving forward if I want to maintain the weight. And let me tell you, I had not been under 200 pounds in over 20 years. And I am mortified to see that 200 ever again in my life. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that I, stay accountable and stay disciplined. And to get that mindset that it's okay to indulge once in a while. I don't want to feel like I can't, because then that's what makes me want to. When they tell you no, that's when you want to be like, but I'm gonna. And so that's how it's been. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is such a mind. This is a tool to
Right.
train your mind and your body, whatever medication you might be on, to start remembering and understanding what it really means to fuel your body as opposed to just like have a free-for-all breakfast, lunch, and dinner and think that we are eating the way that we're supposed to be eating, And that was all I wanted when I started my Ozempic journey. I just wanted to go to dinner with my friends and I didn't want to cut anything out. I just wanted to eat like everybody else.
Right.
And I had done gluten-free, dairy-free, no pot, no carbs, like you name it. I have done that plus probably another version of it.
Right.
And so that is part, I think you bring up a really, really good point when you say first of all, some people might be on this medication forever.
Right.
And some people might wean themselves off knowing that they are equipped with the things that they need to move forward and maintain a lifestyle, right?
Right.
So tell me, so as of this recording, it's February 3rd, 2023. So when did you start with your Ozempic medication first? And how did that kind of navigate?
So we got approved. We didn't get approved for the Wegovy. Obviously, I was going to still have to pay about $600 out of pocket. So the doctor said, "Don't worry, I'll send the compound." We did that. I was paying 125 at that time for this medication, and I started that in April. So my birthday was March 31st, and I had my cake that day, and I said, "That's it. I'm getting on a diet." I saw a picture of me, and I was like, "I need to lose some weight." And so I went to the doctor early, at the end of March. By the time I got my medication, it was the first week of April is when I started. So the very first month I did the compound version. Then that second month, I don't know what happened. She gave me a sample of the actual Ozempic pen. And so this is why I tell people, like, I've been on all of them. I've been on the compound and the actual Ozempic and now on Mounjaro. And so I did the Ozempic pen, and that did really well for me. I lost 10 pounds that first month and 11 pounds that second month. And then the third month was June. And June was full, or I'm sorry, May. It was full of birthdays, Mother's Day, um, just all kinds of celebrations. I think I had like 5 birthdays that month, and I still wasn't disciplined enough to say no to the cake. And so I would still indulge at all the celebrations. It would be a lot less, obviously, but I was still in that mentality where if there's cake, I'm going to eat it.
Right.
And and so
Right.
I didn't lose any weight that month. I didn't gain because I don't think I was eating enough to gain, but I also wasn't not eating enough to lose. And so of course, the doctor was kind of disappointed. So this is now May, the end of May. And he says, you know what? There's this new medication that's fixing to hit the market. It's called Mounjaro. And he's like, it's for diabetes. It hasn't been FDA approved for weight loss, but it's showing way better results than even Ozempic or Wegovy or anything. And so, obviously, he was like, it's just as good as far as the hunger suppression and all that good stuff because it's a GLP medication, just like Wegovy and Ozempic. He's like, but it's also got a GIP receptor, which is the hormone that goes to your brain that tells you you're hungry. He's like, and that's what's making this medication even more powerful because it quiets that hormone in your brain. And so, of course, I'm like, yes, I'm
Bring
getting
it.
better. I mean, I've done so well on this one. I can't even imagine, you know. So initially, I had that misconception that everyone else has, that I'm going to take the shot and the weight's going to melt off. And that's not the reality.
Right.
And so I got my first box, $25. He said, right now there's a $25 coupon because most insurances have no idea what this medication is. It's just going to hit the market. Or it had just hit the market. It was like a week old. And so what did I do when I went home? I, went to YouTube, Mounjaro, and there was nothing.
Nothing.
I went to TikTok, there was nothing. Obviously, it had just hit the market, so no one knew about it or was talking about it. And so that's when I'm like, you know what? This is my opportunity. No one else is talking about it. I'm going to start day one documenting how I feel. And so that's why I went to TikTok initially, because I could do shorter videos and didn't edit and all that stuff. And then I started sharing on my YouTube channel. And so because I felt like I'm going to be that resource. I'm going to be that Anna McKenna that was for Ozempic for Mounjaro, because people are going to want to do the same thing we do, is go see actual people on this medication, relatable people, not a doctor telling me what it should be like or what it should feel like, but someone who's experiencing it. And so I didn't feel any difference in the transition. I do remember being extremely tired on Ozempic and Wegovy in the beginning. It was just like an unbearable fatigue.
I have that too.
Yes, it was horrible. It's like all I wanted to do was sleep. And so I would take B12 shots. Everybody tells me, what'd you do for the energy B12? I don't know that it helped me a ton, but it did help me somewhat. And then when I moved over to Mounjaro, my energy immediately turned around. I don't know if it's because at this point my body had gotten used to being on the medication, or if it was just something different in the makeup of the chemicals.
Right.
And so I got off the B12 and I loved it, because now all of a sudden I had this new energy, and I was losing consistently again. The first week on, because it had slowed down at this point on Ozempic, but my first week on Mounjaro, I lost 4 pounds again. And the only real side effects that I noticed different were the joint pain that I had not experienced on, the semaglutide, and the feeling cold all the time. And surprisingly enough, one other TikToker had mentioned how they were feeling cold all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, that I didn't realize that that was a side effect of the medication. But then once I spoke about it, so many other people around me are like, oh my God, I noticed my feet are cold all the time. My hands are cold all the time. And so I was like, okay, so it's legit a thing when you're on this medication. And so I want to say that those are the only two differences. Everything else, the GI tract side effects are all the same. Everything I had on Wegovy or Ozempic, I've had on Mounjaro, and vice versa. So
That's amazing. I have really spoken with my doctor briefly about Mounjaro, but because I get my Ozempic through the VA, they don't have Mounjaro yet. And so I'm waiting on pins and needles to see if I'll make the switch when they actually have it in stock. So that's so interesting that you bring up side effects like that, because I remember that fatigue on Ozempic was like nothing I've ever felt in my life. But then I noticed that after a few weeks on a certain dosage, my side effects would start to subside, and I think that that was helpful. So tell me, talk to me a little bit about stalls. Do you stall on Mounjaro? Did you stall on Ozempic other than when June happened and you were like, it's party month?
So I consistently lost the first 2 months on Ozempic. And then when I transitioned into Mounjaro, I immediately on the 2.5 dose started losing again. I was losing 4 pounds the first week, and then like 2 pounds each week after. So it was about 10 pounds the first 2 months on it. And then yes, once I hit the 5 milligram, and this is why I always tell people it's a misconception that you think the higher the dose, the higher the weight loss.
Right.
I literally lost 10 pounds on the 2.5 the first month, and then he left me on the 2.5 a second month, and I lost another 10 pounds then, or 11 pounds, something like that. And then the third month, I stalled on the 5 milligram again, just like on Ozempic and Wegovy. That third month, I stalled. And it was the hardest for me because for whatever reason, that 5 milligram just felt so ineffective. I was hungry all the time again. I, was still having the GI symptoms, but I wasn't losing the weight. It was just consistently stuck, which my body probably needed to catch up to itself. I mean, I had just lost another 20 pounds, and I stayed consistent though. Any other time, any other diet, I'd be like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to go have what I want. But you couldn't. Even when you want to overindulge, you can't on this medication. And that's the beauty of it.
Mhm.
And so I just stayed consistent, and your subscribers become such a motivating factor, and everybody's just rooting you on and being supportive, and you feel like you have to do good for them so that they can see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and it can be done. And so that's why I always preach patience and consistency, because those are the two biggest factors in any weight loss journey, I would imagine. And sure enough, at the end of the 5 milligram, right at the 4 week mark, I lost like 2.5 pounds or something like that. And it finally like budged. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. But no, I have the consistent stalls now, but I think it's because I just did the calculations yesterday, because I'm like, why am I not losing weight anymore? I'm bouncing around. Well, it's because I've lost, almost 55 pounds at this point. So I recalculated my calorie intake. In order for me to lose 2 pounds a week, like I did in the beginning, I'd have to only eat 766 calories. That's
Yeah,
almost nothing.
right.
And so I'm like, oh my God, that's why I'm struggling and losing it so much slower, because yes, I'm still not eating as much as I used to, but I'm eating more calories for my weight now. And so that's why I'm losing about half a pound a week, a quarter of a pound a week. So it's still coming off slowly, but you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I do, when people feel frustrated, or when anybody in our community, who, by the way, having a supportive community is
yeah,
everything, especially
yes,
when you have these stalls, when they say, well, at the beginning I was losing all this weight and now it's coming off. It's like, well, two things. One, your body has to catch up with what is happening.
right,
Number one. Number two, you don't want to lose so fast that your skin looks weird and you have that gaunt look to you and you have all this extra skin. I am a big believer that if you can lose weight slowly, it gives your body time to like kind of collect itself and not
right,
look. I've been really lucky that I haven't had a lot of loose skin, and I haven't even really been lifting weights. So I expected there to be a lot more. But I think because of the slow weight loss, which, like everybody, I want to lose it like right now. I still have like another 30 pounds I want to lose. And I'm like, I just want it gone. But I know that my body needs time to adjust and get. It took me years to get as big as I was. And I was in like a really dark place. If you scroll back to my very first video, right here in this office, it was dark, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and patience has definitely been a big part of this journey. So, I know that in your content that you put out for your folks on your in your community, it's like consistently saying and reminding them like this is a lifestyle journey. Like
right,
I feel like that's where my channel has migrated to. Like it's about so much more than just dropping pounds. It's about this work that we have to do on ourselves. It's about entering a new chapter for ourselves, and what does that look like now? And it's a real emotional journey for a lot of people, and that's why I think it's so great. I'm so thrilled because now that when I spoke to my endocrinologist about, should we try Mounjaro next? I was like, Crissy will know. So that's great. So tell me, tell everybody, what advice do you give other than staying consistent and having some patience? Would you give to anybody who might be considering surgery instead, or maybe they're just dipping their toe into a significant weight loss effort? What would you tell people about how you get on this ride and stay on this ride?
Okay, so I can speak on this on a personal level because I have a cousin, and I've brought her onto my channel a few times, who was already scheduled to have her gastric bypass done, and she was going to Mexico, and I was really concerned because she's high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, and I'm like, I was just mortified to think that something could happen to her, and we not be there. And So I told her, I pretty much begged her. I was like, look, I've lost 20 pounds. It hasn't taken me a ton of effort. Please give this a try first. I promise you that I will be there. I will be your support. I will help you do what you need to do to lose the weight. And if by December you don't have results and you're still strongly, in you wanting to do the gastric sleeve, I'll support you in whatever you want to do, but give me the opportunity to help you, because I feel like if I did it after 20 years, you can do it also. And so she said, fine. She was hesitant. She's like, I highly doubt it because she, along with me, has been a yo-yo dieter. We're close in age, so we're very much the same. And she said, I'll do it. She went to my doctor and everything. He put her on the lowest dose and said, let's see how you do, because she had diabetes and all that good stuff. And oh my God, she's blown the doors through the roof. I mean, she's lost more at this point than I have, and faster than I have. And she's so grateful now because she didn't have to go through with the surgery. And the thing is that by no means do I discourage it if that's really what people want to do. I'm always, you do what you feel like is right for you. But I've also seen so many people who have gone through the surgery personally, for friends, close friends of ours, that start to lose all their hair because they can't get enough nutrients in. They start to have all kinds of long-term issues that, because you're taking a part of an organ away, and they start to just be very sickly. Some people just in and out of the hospital, they get dehydrated because they can't drink enough water. And so all that's concerning because you just never know if that's going to be you.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful that she gave this an opportunity because she finally, I mean, she's weighing 177 at this point. Never, she's like, I weighed this in high school. Like, you don't understand. And I'm like, no, girl, I understand. Like, yeah, like I know what this is feeling like. We're sharing the experience together. And so I would definitely say if it's in your means, give this a try. Because if it works for you, then in the long run, you didn't have to cut off a part of your organ to see the success. And I've also seen so many people go through that surgery, have all these issues, and regain the weight again. Because if you don't take the time to learn to eat during that period where your stomach is so much smaller, then essentially you start to regain like everything else, right? And so that is my biggest take from this, is really learning what your body needs and how much it needs to sustain it long term. Because if I stop this medication, or even if I stay on this medication and go back to my normal portion sizes and normal indulgences, I'm going to gain the weight back. I know this. And how many diabetics have been on these medications and lose that initial 30, 40 pounds. And over the years, when they get used to being able to eat those normal foods, regain the weight. So, I mean, we see it all the time. So, yes, it will happen. So, I would say really take this time while you're on this medication to learn what your portions should look like. So that even though you eat that portion later off this medication and you feel like, oh, I could really eat the other half of this burger right now, if you do that, what the consequences could be. And so I think that's my take on it.
The consequences can be severe sometimes.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go throw up.
Exactly.
So let's talk about Crissy G Life with Me, the brand, because your channel, girl, is blowing up, right?
And it really has.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I just love, I think so you're still younger than me. I'm 45.
Which you did great.
There's not enough people like late 30s, 40s, 50s
Right.
putting out content that like people our age care about, right?
Right.
So when people were asking me more and more questions other than Ozempic, other than, what I was doing, I was like, well, I'm just going to continue to talk to people
Right.
in my very unedited, like straight shooter type of way, and just give people what they want. And so that's kind of how like my brand has started to be more than like a weight loss medication that I'm kind of like, so I took my shot today. And so I noticed that you too are doing that, which I think is fantastic. And I feel like it comes very naturally to you. So talk to us a little bit about what's in the works, where you see yourself going, and how you see your presence on social kind of starting to flow to.
So I look to you a lot. I believe it or not, like like you said, you're growing your channel in a different way. And trust me, when I follow you, I follow Mindy, who's also been on her own journey.
Yes.
Um, I've always wanted to do social media. It's just I never had the confidence. I tried my channel about 7 years ago. I uploaded two makeup videos, and they didn't have much views, and I would look at myself and I'd be like, oh my god, look how fat I look at my teeth, look, I just over criticized myself and I just couldn't do it. And so I think that everything happens for a reason, right? Like this was magically the thing that opened the door for me, but I always knew I wanted to do more. And so I don't know how fast a channel is supposed to grow or any of that. I just know that I've been blessed that I have, for whatever reason, grown easily. And as you said, this weight loss journey will be forever, but at some point I'm going to be burned out on talking about weight loss. There's only so much I can reiterate as far as my weight loss journey. And it is something that I plan to talk about on my channel long term, because like many of us, we struggle all our lives with it. And so there will be times when, we will have to talk on it, speak on it. But I'm incorporating little things because obviously makeup is a passion of mine, fashion. And so I know that I want to develop. I was just so afraid in the beginning to lose some of my subscribers because I know a lot of them are there just for the weight loss portion of it. And so that gets a little like, do I dabble in other things? Will I lose people because they're going to be like, I don't care about your makeup. I'm here to see how you lost weight. You know what I'm saying? But everyone's been so supportive so far, and my channel just keeps growing. And so I think like maybe it is okay. It is okay to incorporate other things that I'm passionate about and that I want to speak on, especially for women like myself who, and strangely enough, I had, Melissa, she's one of my subscribers and she's one of your subscribers as well. She initially was like, I thought you were, oh, here's another one of these trendy girls, getting on the latest weight loss fad. She's like, but you are now, I've noticed that you're so much more. And I think from the outside, I look like I was well put together, but on the inside, like you said, it was very dark. I was depressed. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't like taking pictures, because I would just over criticize myself and I didn't feel comfortable in my weight. And I've always been very shy. And people don't think that because they think, well, you don't look shy. You seem like you talk very well. And I'm like, yes, in my element, but in public, I would always be very like tunnel vision. I didn't want to notice people noticing me or looking at me because I immediately felt like they were judging me for how something fit me or how I looked or something. And so it's been a blessing, and just having, like you said, the community and the support has been really, really helpful for me. They tell me all the time that I motivate them, but I'm like, you guys are my motivators. You're what keeps me accountable and on my toes. Yeah.
That's totally how I feel. I feel like people come for either information, but they stay for the person that's giving it to them.
Right.
And like even though we can only talk about weight loss for so long, there's so much more to us. And I do think that I wish there were more creators out there who are in the place in their life like where we are, where we want to give more and talk about more. And we're more than just we lost 50, 60, 100 pounds on a medication. And I think that that comes through in channels and in people that are genuine in what they're talking about. And you might lose some and like, oh well, who cares? You can come back and visit anytime you want to. But in other ways, there are people, this is a renaissance time, I think, for a lot of people who go through transition in their life, whether it's like weight loss or they're just entering their 40s or their 50s or they're, you know, people want to connect with people who are very similar to them and what they're going through. And I just encourage you to keep doing it because even though I could never do my makeup like you, girl, can you do some like minimalist?
Yes, for sure. That was one of my plans because it's very much in trend right now. And I love it because it takes me 15 minutes and I'm out the door.
Yes. And I think when people do lose weight and when people start feeling like they can come out of their shell a little bit more, they're looking. And another thing is, people don't know how to dress when they've lost a ton of weight. And it's like, girl, you are not that size anymore.
Right.
Like, this is now what looks good on you. And so I know for me, like, I want to know, like, what are good brands to wear as you're shrinking? What does it look like for me now to look and feel good every day? And what are the things that are helping me in my everyday life. So I hope that you'll continue to do that because I always check it out. I'm like, what is she up to? I like this. And I think a lot of our audience also will love that. So, all right, tell us where we can find you. I'm going to put this in the description box as well, but I want to make sure that we shout you out so people can track you down.
Most definitely. So my channel here on YouTube is going to be at the real Crissy G, and then you can find me on TikTok. It's at Crissy G Life with Me, and then I'm on the Instagram. I'm starting to sound like the older gen already on the TikTok and on the
Me
Instagram.
too. Boomer Central.
Exactly. So it's under Houston, HOUSTUN underscore baddie for my Instagram page, which I'm consistently trying to grow there too. But it's a lot, like you said, it's a lot to maintain and keep up with, but I enjoy it. So
Awesome. So make sure that if whoever's watching, like, I just want you to go check it out because I do think that you will fall in love with Crissy, and like I think that it's just so important that our community continues to grow and we support each other, and I'm just really so grateful that you were able to come on today.
of course, I can't even believe when you invited me, I was like so excited. I'm like, I can't believe it. I've been telling everybody, Anna McKenna from YouTube, we're gonna talk about this. So thank you. The love is much equal. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.